Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
I promise you, this is not a political podcast.
Jump, from the deep into the pool, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. Paranoid radio, set up the mood. 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 Set up the mood.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be one of those, man. Ladies and gentlemen, testicles 1, 2, testicles. Welcome back to Paranoid Radio Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I am Trebles Garcia, the humble host of this amazing adventure, and I want to thank the Lord for allowing me to be here today, and I want to thank every single one of you for allowing me to enter your space. Guys, I have an amazing episode lined up. It's not like every other show is not amazing. I'm just saying every single one from here on out is even more amazing. I have an amazing episode with an amazing special guest, but right before we jump on that, I want to remind you that the most important thing that you could do for the show is word of mouth. Check us out at paranoidradio.com and spread the word. Guys, I just put up something on Instagram, a post, a reel, and this is not because I'm crying out for help. It's because I'm trying to provide a service, because I am going through something. I want you guys to understand that you're not alone. You could belong also, and it only takes 10 seconds of life to put your burden on somebody else. Check out paranoidradio.com, and it has a direct link, a 24/7 hour lifeline where you could talk and chat or speak with anybody 24/7, bro. And talk about your emotion instability, about the chemical imbalance, or whatever it is that's tormenting you. We are survivors. Remember that we are not victims anymore. We have to survive. We have to push through, and you have to acquire the courage. Do not off yourself. We don't need no more brothers and sisters. We don't need no more mothers. We don't need no more weeping husbands and wives. We need people that are living and thriving. Please. And if you can't speak with anybody else, you could also text me directly to on Instagram. My phone number is directly associated with that account. Do not off yourself. And guys, if you are paranormally activated and there is issues outside of your home with your animals, and you have been dealing with cryptids or cryptid activity outside of your house, check out Cryptid Warfare Operations. These guys are amazing. I don't get paid to say this, guys. These guys are a tactical unit that will handle and guide you on how to deal with these infestation. Make sure you also check out Ali Christine. Ali Christine will give you the tools so you could make your kids healthy again and live parasitic free. Ali Christine is an amazing human being, an amazing soul, and she has the right mind and the right soul, and she will guide you on the way to do that too. Make sure you check her out and drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Check out Favors of the Forest and Cook with Zest. How do you say this? I like to say, season your meat before you eat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump in from the deep end of the pool and set the freaking mood. Please welcome my next special guest. He is an author, Adam Butler. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great. I love your energy, and I love how fast you talk.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I have a problem with that. The only reason I'm loose right now is because I just had another episode. I broke in my tongue and stuff.
So I'm from New England, and when I was traveling the country, it's amazing how much slower a majority of the country speaks, other than on the coast. So, yeah, no, I feel like we can get a lot out. But
Oh
no,
yeah.
and as far as timing, you just starting off about your 24/7 helpline. I'm sitting in this chair right now because of my desire to help others with their mental health issues. Just get right into it. I'm here. I had a really bad issue with suicidal tendencies, and I almost offed myself. So I'm gonna match you on that and say that I always add my email address at the end. And I've personally, now a couple years into it, I've spoke with dozens and dozens of people, and I can say it helps. So I'm available if anybody needs another perspective as well. And if anybody needs any reason to stay on this planet one more day, I guarantee you I'll give you one.
Yeah, I love it, bro. I love it. Like I said, man, it is very important to start embracing other people, and then other people to allow themselves to be embraced also. Yeah, man, thank you for what you do, and thank you for providing that information. We're gonna put that email in the description of the show also, guys, so you guys don't have to wait anymore to listen to it. Where can people find you, bro? Directly on Instagram and on YouTube?
Instagram, it's Books by Adam Butler, and I just started a YouTube where I'm kind of putting all my stuff together, and that's Butler's DMT Field Guide. I mean, if you
That's right.
basically look at either one of those two, you'll come up, but pretty easy to find,
I'm
and
uh,
I'm
I'm gonna get
accessible.
I'm gonna get real comfortable here. And guys, make sure you check them out on YouTube. Guys, like I said, we also have a YouTube channel that we just started, and I don't have a lot of faith in it, but hey, man, the numbers don't lie. And people, like I always say this on the show, but you guys rather be on TikTok getting spoon-fed information or just watching ads for God's sakes. You don't want to take 5 seconds of your day to go to the search bar and check out paranoidradio.com or Adam Butler. Also, where can people find your book?
Everywhere. So, I mean, easiest way would be Amazon. It's on, bondsandnoble.com. It's in a couple indie bookstores, which, and if it's not, ask and they can get it. But um, I published it in 2023, so, a little over 2 years. And man, so you're talking about how this podcast is kind of part of your therapy and it's allowing you to express yourself. That's exactly what that book was for me after I kind of came through my midlife crisis and then kind of epiphany through my self journey. And yeah, it's I mean it's fucking nuts. You talk about starting small, and I'm still small time, but I can say that my book sold in 10 plus countries. I've sold thousands and thousands of copies, and more importantly, the personal interactions that I've had with individuals going through, whether it be really similar, middle-aged man going through some shit, or really cool talking to the 75-year-old woman or the young vet, or that there's a the that's something that I never would have imagined that this journey would lead me to, would be the connections and awesome relationships that I've had. So yeah, it's been a hell of a journey coming from, and I'm sure we'll kind of get into it quickly, but this was nothing like my life was up until just a few years ago. Drastic change, 180-degree from everything. Good, from the good to the bad and the bad to the good, kind of.
I
But yeah.
want you to I want you to share that. I want you to share that particular moment where it shifted. But before we jump into that, I seen a post on your Instagram account because what we really are doing here is showcasing you, your life, your experiences, and your book. What does 50 racks of DMT do to your brain? How did that change, bro?
Oh fuck. Yeah, so that just came out today, the Zach show. That was one of the funnest conversations that I had. That was 2.5 hours, and we went into some places that, man, I did not think we'd be going. Yeah, so that was that first day that I got introduced to DMT, and I say I took 50 hits in that day, and I know a lot of people experience it would be like, no fucking way, that's bullshit. And I kind of go in my book how I broke it down, and it was because I approached that day with a pleading to the universe that if I didn't get some sort of answer, that I was gonna walk off into the woods and not come back. So it wasn't it you know it was a very intense day, and it had a purpose and an intention, and luckily I came out of it. I wouldn't recommend, and actually we discussed before recording that I would like to say as a disclaimer, psychedelics are not for everybody. DMT is definitely not for everybody. There's ways of getting clarity of thought. There's ways of getting connection to yourself, knowing yourself, loving yourself. We're talking about both of us, fighting our addictions and getting clean. There's ways of connecting to God, connecting to source. All of these things can happen naturally. Um, for me, though, I had so much shit going on in my life that psychedelics was kind of the shakeup that I needed to really start opening up and changing my perspective.
What was the tipping point, bro? What was the tipping point?
It was a culmination of, I would say, pretty significant events and tipping points. Um, I kind of gloss over the finest of details, and I'll happily elaborate on them. But I feel as though at my age, so many people have their own shit, where everybody's gonna have their own trauma, their own stuff that they need to deal with. I actually kind of go over mine, and the really, in hindsight, I can look at all who I am and who I am today compared to who I was. But I was a drunk, narcissistic, belligerent asshole who really was a fucking dick. I mean, up until 4.5 years ago, like I said, when I gave up alcohol, um, I had everything on paper. So I was the rich, wealthy kid from New England that had the businesses, had the cars, had all the money, and it was, so the tipping point was sitting there in a 3-story Victorian near the water, making 4 or 5 grand a week, thinking that I had everything good. But once again, everything was crumbling around me. And I got a knock on the door, and it was a constable giving me a restraining order, telling me that my 8-year relationship was over, that I needed to get out of the house immediately, and that yeah, that was that was kind of one of those, like, I even asked the guy, I'm like, did you fucking read this thing? And he's like, no, I just serve him. I'm like, well, she just accused me of some really horrible shit and says I need to leave now. He's like, yeah, when I leave, you need to leave. So it was
Oh
like, well,
snap! It was like at the time, like at that moment.
right, yeah, and it was dinner time. He's like, this is my last stop. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm like, can you give me a solid and give me a few minutes? So I literally grabbed a 55-gallon black trash bag and went through the house and took what I thought was my essential stuff, not knowing that that would basically be the last time I ever entered that house, because that was right before
Wow.
COVID. And then, so the court shut down before all non-essential things, and so that case got put out for quite a bit. I do want to say, and once again, I'll happily go into any of these details. Um, I've never been in a fight in my life. I've never raised my hand to a man or a woman, but I was mentally abusive. I was verbally abusive. I was spatially abusive. I was abusive with my energy. Um, Looking back, I can. This woman did everything that she needed to do to get me the fuck out of her life and her daughter's life. So I owe her an apology. I owe her family an apology. This isn't. Everything was done on to me, and I will and never have ever treated anybody like that again.
Mhm.
That was the, like, oh fuck, what do I need to do? So
Mhm.
literally at 40 years old, moved back into my parents' house, kind of was like reset. Um, I met another woman, but I was still drinking. I was still really messed up. So that I got into another long-term relationship, basically a year and a half. That ended horribly again. And then I quit my high-paying job and I moved out to the Cape and got an even better job.
Mhm.
Um, and I thought everything was good. I was kind of leaving women behind. I had stopped drinking, but there was a partner of the company that I worked with that screwed me over $900, and I called him on it. And I had no no whatever fuse for any of that shit. I was so raw, and I snapped and I threatened to kill him, and I
Oh
fucking I
man.
meant it. And that was and he was a younger guy that lived literally 2 blocks from me, and the altercation happened in an office, a couple miles from there, and that was on a Sunday night, and I realized that now, so 2 years after the original breakup, the second breakup, the quitting of a job that was paying me 180 grand a year for multiple years, like I said, then I found another job that was even better. Um, Now I'm sitting there basically asked out, being like, now what the fuck do I do? And I took basically said that happened on a Sunday night, excuse me,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I said, so I had now what am I going to do? And I actually lived with the owner of the company, so I knew that I didn't have my job. I knew my house now, really my living situation was going to be screwed. But at that point,
Uh-oh.
I still had
Hmm.
plenty of money. So I
Mhm.
took basically I said I'm going to wake up and drive to California to hug a redwood tree. And like I said, I lived in the Cape, and that's exactly what I did. And I took over a year, and I just lived on the road. That first day, I took off, drove 26 miles,
Mhm.
ended up in Kansas City, and then from there, I really just went to like 40 different states, slept out on beaches, went to national parks, um, kind of doing my spiritual journey. And then, and interweaved with this is the psychedelics, the shrooms and the DMT. But that
Mhm.
was kind of all of this happened where it was you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you've had every advantage, every opportunity. There's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have everything in the world, and you've had everything in the world 10 times over. But now you're sitting here crying mess, looking in the mirror, being like, what the fuck is going on? And,
Holy
uh,
snap.
it,
Yeah.
it really took a hard, deep look at myself. And unfortunately, I had many loved ones, including all of those women that were trying to hold up that mirror to myself, and I just pushed everybody away, including, I was going to a therapist. Like I knew something was off, but until I was actually able to do that deep inner shadow work, until I was able to actually sit with myself in solitude and figure out the shit, um, that was the clarity that I needed. And like I said, that day where I took those 50 hits of DMT, really, that was that was the day that switched over everything. And not that all my problems were solved and it was some magic pill. I mean, absolutely not. If anything, it shined a spotlight on all my bullshit and this huge hole that I needed to crawl out of. But the biggest
Uh.
thing that happened was I stopped looking for external solutions to my internal problems. I stopped blaming everybody else for all the shit that was going on. I took ownership of what I needed to take ownership of. And the epiphany moment of that transcendent day that I had with my sitting with DMT basically all culminated into a simple understanding of, all we have is this current second, this true moment now, where I was so wrapped up in my chaotic past and how could this happen? Now, what the fuck am I going to do with my future? And I was running myself crazy, and it allowed me to finally sit quietly in this time of now. And uh, I've been in that space now for 3 years or so, and I'm the most content, happiest that I've ever been. I have goosebumps every day. I'm connected to God, to Source, to amazing people. My life has completely changed beautifully in every possible way. Except I'd say now I'm just trying to fit into society again, find my tribe, figure out what I do as far as my career, my next move, um, what the fuck I do. But it's not going to be the rat race. It's not going to be make money. It's not going to be drown myself with alcohol or bang my head against the wall. It's going to be express myself, share love, and
Wow.
live fucking enjoy this human experience. But
Be
yeah,
the
so there's a
universe.
lot of there was a lot of moving parts, but yeah, the some of the if I could just the before I got into DMT, I explored shrooms for about 3 or 4 months, and I felt as though that was a comfortable introductory to psychedelics. I had heard a lot of therapy that was going on with veterans and PTSD and things like that, and I was getting really good therapeutic value from the shrooms, and I was really able to do some inner work and get really good benefit from it. But I didn't have that that epiphany moment, and myself, and it seems to be a common story. DMT kind of finds you. It reaches out somehow, some way, and I started hearing about it. I started doing my research, and a friend of mine told me that he had access to it, and that he knew kind of how what a shitty spot I was in, and offered it to me. And I spent several months doing the research, trying to understand the molecule, give it the respect and reverence. And when I approached it that first day, and it wasn't 50 hits all in one like back to back to back to back. It was about 7, 8 sessions, and each session was 3 to 4 to 5. Some of them were 6, 7 hits, um, spaced out about over an hour and a half. And yeah, it ended with a complete kind of restructuring of my perspective.
The rewiring.
Yeah, and
I
that's that. How do you describe it? And people kind of say whether it be a DNA download, an upgrade, a
uh-huh.
software input, something, but it was an instantaneous knowing and changing of my perspective. And like I said, it shifted everything. Didn't fix
You,
everything, just allowed, took the veil off, or removed the veil, how I
it
like to
gave you
say
that
it.
clarity you needed, the focus. There's movies about this. People talk about this situation all the time. And the elites, and I say the elites, the people that know what duality really is and have the knowledge, they normally already have been exposed to that knowledge, and they utilize it only for themselves. And then they twist it and then turn it and then they feed it up to you back. And then this is a conspiracy podcast. Believe me, I know we live paranoid on this side. And I'm going to tell you this right now. All of this information has been introduced to humanity, but it also has been introduced in a dark way, in a way so that you could continue going to that rat race and continue consuming that content, continue drinking that drink, that beer with 1,000 different faces, 1,000 different flavors, 1,000 different ways to rewire your brain. It's an extreme event. And life is an extreme event. It's a very emotional one also. I'm happy that you are here today to tell your tale. I am excited, and I thank the Lord that you found your way. You know what, bro? How many of us listening to this podcast right now can sit back and say, I am happy and I live a beautiful life? How many of us, bro? How many of us? You know what? You know what's also really interesting? That you had the opportunity to make the change. Sleep at those beaches, sleep at go hug the redwood, go to the national forest, and have at least the physical material money to say, I'm gonna go find myself something to eat and then to come back to the tree. A lot of us don't have that. A lot of us don't even have anybody to talk to. This is the important thing, bro. A lot of us sleep at the riverbed, cement, sleep in our own piss. A lot of this is why homeless people live the way homeless way, because nobody there can materialize their existence with money, because sometimes you need money, bro, to eat. Sometimes you need money to survive. And even though if it doesn't buy you happiness, it could get you to the door at least. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just thankful that you were there, bro, to tell the story. Not everybody has that privilege. It's
Yeah,
a
you
very
just gave
important
me
one.
goosebumps because it's like and I'm done kind of beating myself up, and I've done, I've kind of made my amends. But what you just said resonates so hard, because until I actually walked the streets with the homeless people, walked, hand in hand, I was that arrogant, cocky white kid from New England with the college education, with the fancy car, with the money in my pocket, that would judge and look down and think that I was somehow better than. And man, what a fucking ugly way to go through life. And I understand how, and that's part of why I tell my story with some humility, because if I had every advantage possible, and I had amazing parents, awesome great grandparents. I was gifted almost $100,000 to stop businesses when I was a teenager. So again, keep stacking up the reasons why I had every possible advantage. And that's kind of the whole point, where if I could self-destruct and if I could blow up everything, man, how hard is it for the person that doesn't have that to fall back on? That doesn't, like right now. I mean, and once again, full disclosure, man, I've owned 15 houses in my life, and I used to be a real estate investor as well. I'm living in my parents' basement now at 44 years old. I'm a landscaper making 24 bucks an hour when I used to make $1,000 a day. So, my smirk smacked got right off. Excuse me, my smug got smacked right off my face, because um, I'm living in it now, and man, a couple of things. Like, I know how grateful and appreciative I am, and you're not. And that's the point, is that you're not alone. Like, there's people that are out there like myself that now is going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping people, because I've had so much help throughout my entire life. And now I'm partnering with organizations, even with you, starting this thing like this. And it's to give those people that don't have a voice a voice. It's to people that don't have access to medicine, get access to it, that don't have access to God, or even, once again, to tie back what you said to Kevin at the end of the show, brother, I love you. If you ever have any issues to talk about, I'm here, good or bad. I'll be here for you. And that's kind of what this is all about. And money aside, because I feel very comfortable that money will come to my pockets again. And when it does, now I'll know how to enjoy it properly. And it's not with material things and bigger stuff and fancy fucking things. It's going to be to help the people that didn't have what I have. Um, But yeah, so sorry to get sidetracked, but yeah, it's
No, man.
man, because I said to one guy, and this was in, I believe it was Eureka, California, and if anybody's been around that area, that there's some addiction issues around there, and there's some tough crowds in some tough areas. And I just told the guy, I walked by him, I was like, "Oh, I love you, brother," because we made eye contact, and he's like, "What'd you say?" And I said, "I love you, brother." He's like, "No one even acknowledges me. No one says hi to me. No one." He goes, "I don't know when the last time somebody said I loved you." And it's like, I sat there and had a conversation with him, and it was like, just to look at somebody and treat them like they're a human. Sometimes
Wow.
that's all they need. And I got an email the other day, and I said at the beginning of your conversation, when we started recording, about, if you need a reason to live, give me a reach out. And somebody did just that with that very statement. And it's like, that's why it's important, no matter whatever scope or range of our voices are. It's because if it reaches one person, that's all that matters. And I can say it has. I know it has.
I'm pulling up some notes, and I like bringing these notes out because I did a very very important and an episode that did very well in the numbers, called emotional damage, with my best friend Tank. And we we featured information. This is 2 years ago, and I want to bring that in. Um, so mind you, bro, this is just for men. I'm not bringing in statistics for women or kids, but 60% of all men above the age of 15, this is 2 years ago, right, are fathers in the U.S. alone. 60% of all men, 60 of all men above the age of 15 are fathers in the U.S. 79 of those fathers are committing or thinking of committing suicide in today's age. 50% of men that commit suicide don't have a diagnosis or traces of mental health illness. This means that you assume a man killing himself is because of mental illness. Wrong. This means that a man is unaliving himself is because death is literally the only way out, allegedly, right? This means I work in as a salesperson, but I interact with contractors, electricians every single day, and I deal with at least 60 men every single day. Every single day. That means that 40 of those men 42 of those men have thought or are drowning themselves in their sorrows behind a bottle or behind a bag of coke or any drug of the choosing because they are contemplating death, because they don't want to go home, because they don't feel, like you said, like a human being or like they belong. Think about that, bro. Think about the massive scale of people.
And the answer is easy. And I don't want to be condescending when I say it like that, but it really is. And it's not, well, just do psychedelics or do DMT. That's not it. And it's not just find Jesus. That's not it.
Mhm.
Because that's not going to resonate with a huge, you know, part of the population. What it is, in my opinion, you have to take the time to know yourself and learn about yourself. And once you do that and do that fully, you'll be able to appreciate your scars, your warts, your traumas, your good, the bad. And if you can do that and do that true inner shadow work, you can learn to love yourself. And as soon as you start loving yourself, you realize that you're worthy of all of the things and the beauty and love and positive relationships and all of the things that you see other people getting. You are worthy of it. That's kind of the step one, is just appreciating that you are deserving of it. And then knowing that as a human, we are way greater than our five senses. And however you get to that level of realization, whether it be through meditation, whether it be through exercise, prayer, I just got back from the Monroe Institute. So it was like a week long deep meditation where it was beautiful out in the woods of Virginia, where you're spending all day just deep in thought, trying to transcend your body. And, once you realize that you are more than just this physical body and that you are connected to, however you want to word it, and it's going to be different for everybody, but we are greater than just this meat suit in this body, and we are connected to something divine and great and limitless. And once you realize that you are a facet of that, and then so is everybody else, not only do you love and appreciate and respect you, but that extends to everybody else around you. So I just like but now you can only love and appreciate the people around you to the extent that you can love and appreciate and respect yourself. And for 20 years of my adult life, I was just drowning it with alcohol and shitty behavior and covering it with money and paper success, and thought that that was a way for me to be a dick. And like I said, it all came crashing down in multiple ways. And now with all of that removed, I can finally have the clarity to be like, no, none of that means anything, because that can all get taken away again in the snap of a finger. And if anybody thinks it can't, we got, whether it be an accident, cancer, like there's so much shit that can happen fucking instantaneous. So you've got to figure out a way to get comfortable in your own skin. And that's a beautiful thing and it's when you're as weird looking and gnarly and fucked up as kind of we both are, to be like, yeah, I'm comfortable sharing my story. And uh, yeah, that's a
The
powerful thing if everybody did that, man, that would be great.
there's a saying in Spanish, hoy soy yo y mañana eres tú. That's, you know what that means? It says, it's basically telling you whatever comes up must come down. And if you think you're untouchable because you got all the money in the world, um, you're not equipped to survive in the slums. And the slums is not because you have to eat couple noodles and drink Tampico every single day. No, that's not what the slums are. The slums are the emotional turmoil, the not even get treated like a human type of situation.
Well,
What
I
that
think a lot
does.
of some of the richest, most wealthy, famous people that have everything are the ones that are committing suicide, and then the most depressed, and because they have a bunch of yes people around them and no true, genuine relationships and no true, genuine connection with themselves, and they put on this facade, and it all comes tumbling down. Um, can I throw out a Spanish saying? I heard you say it the
Yeah.
other day,
Yeah.
and I hope I don't butcher it, but cada cabeza es un mundo. Right? You said that
Cabeza
the
es un
other.
mundo. I
You said
said that
that
the
the
other
other
day.
day.
Yeah.
And it's right, every mind is its own universe. And that's that's that same realization of knowing yourself, loving yourself, and knowing that, all right, cool, you're in this your own situation, whether you call it a matrix, a simulation, or however you kind of want to put the world's shit into perspective. Realize that you're in power, and you're in this unique position to control kind of your life, and it doesn't have to be depressing and dark and nasty. It can be like, before we're recording, your face lit up when you're talking about your daughters, and you're talking about your sobriety, and you're talking about this podcast and helping people instantly. And I'd say, like, and this is our first conversation. man, that's your mission right now. That's your passion, and I can see you that's going to be a driving force in your life is that you're going to be the shoulder for people to lean on. And how like what that means more than anything, more than money, more than status, more than views, more than whatever. And I hope I can kind of be in that same group with you because I've had all that other shit. I've made the money, I've had the houses, and that does not give you the same type of satisfaction than knowing that you help somebody live.
Wow. Yeah,
And
man.
it can be that dramatic where it's like just to live another day. Man, maybe it's just a hug. Maybe it's just a
Yeah.
compliment.
Mhm.
And especially for men, it's kind of tougher. You got to put on this macho facade where it's no, that's not it because like you said, it's very close to home. I mean, you just look around you and you're in a circle and who you're interacting with day to day, and I guarantee you there's going to be people that are looking for somebody to reach out to them and to share a car ride with, a whatever, whatever, a cold beer, a joint, whatever, something, some sort of connection, a prayer. Like I've got a buddy that goes to church every Sunday and he loves it, and it's like that's
That's his thing.
find
Mhm.
what makes you resonate and hum. But it's not run from your problems. It's not shove it under the rug, and it's definitely not. And if I, like I'm the most calm, chill person now, where all I do is play with like bugs and insects and whistle at birds and get excited when I see babies and shit. Where before I was always screaming, yelling, loud, swearing, veins popping out in my head, like just a nasty person. And it's just like and if I
Wow.
could like you definitely wouldn't want to be friends with me. You wouldn't want me around your people or your family. You'd be like, look at this douchebag. And
Mm.
to think like that was me just because I was covered with so much plaque. And that's an analogy I use often too, is that society just bogs down you with so much bullshit and plaque, and some of it's self-imposed and some of it's self-limitations, but a lot of it is just the pressures of society. And once that plaque is removed, it's like a twofold benefit where not only your inner light can really shine through, but then you can receive the light and energy and love and information from other beings and entities and sources as well. But
Mm.
if you're just worrying about bills and social media smut and likes and I don't know, all that crap, or getting to the next bottle or the next drink or
Mhm.
whatever, it's just not.
Yeah,
It's not going
absolutely
to
right.
end in a positive way. But
Accepting
to maybe
yourself
end
with
in a positive way,
yeah.
here we are now, though. I'm alive, you're alive, we're smiling, we look good, we're happy, we're healthy, we're helping people. We're talking about your podcast and my book, and I think, and there's a lot of people doing it, and there's a lot of, I think the more data points we put out there to say there's a better way, it's just going to keep taking off. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on your platform and share it.
I'm honored, bro. I'm honored. And it was an amazing privilege talking to you today. Things happen for a reason, bro. It's a message. Now,
Yeah.
if you got the message, ladies and gentlemen, I want you guys to please take 5 seconds of your life, stop watching ads on TikTok, because I know what you're doing, guys. Check out my boy Adam Butler, bro. Where can they find you, bro?
So once again, Instagram's the social media that I'm on most. That's Books by Adam Butler, and just started that YouTube channel, and that's Butler's DMT Field Guide. And the email address, booksbyadambutler@gmail.com. So again, I'm available if anybody wants to have a conversation. I also offer, a free PDF copy of my book to anybody that wants it. This isn't about making a couple bucks on the book. It's really about helping and sharing that message. And uh, this one went kind of deep into the mental health and self-help, which it's priority, and I'm glad. And the way it started with what you're doing is absolutely phenomenal. Um, maybe we can do another one where we can talk about DMT entities and angels and demons and gods and transcending all that crazy shit. Because there's a lot that ties into one. There's a lot a correlation between alien abductions and DMT entities and demons and angels and these are the Jungian archetypes and things like that, and even how you get access to them, whether it be through psychedelics, through trauma, through some sort of event. There's a lot that I think your audience could get into that's DMT related that would be interesting, but none of it would be is possible without a clear mental healthy person. So
And this was a beautiful introduction of what we really are about. because every single person that's listening to the show is not just hungry for knowledge, it's also hungry for the truth. It's hunger. You guys are listening to the show right now. You know what? You know why? You guys want to get pointed to the right direction. That's where it's at, bro. That's where it's at. Everybody, make sure you check out Adam Butler. Check out his book. Check him out on Instagram. And ladies and gentlemen, please drop a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That allows other people to enjoy the show as much as I enjoy making it. Peace. Oh, that was amazing, dog.
Thanks.
I'm happy.